The whole story of Priya Prisnakar building the amazing Angkor Wat complex seems like a story.
The jungle never gave up its secrets easily, but this time it blinked first. Beneath the towering stones of Angkor Wat, a place millions have walked over without ever knowing what lay below, scientists have opened a hidden vault sealed for centuries. Not a myth, not a legend, a real chamber buried deep under one of humanity's greatest sacred sites. What they found inside wasn't just artifacts or broken stone. It was evidence that rewrites what we thought we knew about who built Angkor, why it was built, and what knowledge its creators were trying to protect. For decades, Angkor Wat was seen as a masterpiece of architecture and devotion. But this discovery suggests it was something more, something intentional, something encoded. Advanced scans revealed anomalies where no void should exist, and when researchers finally broke through, history cracked open with it. Hit like and subscribe, because this isn't just an archaeological discovery. It's a message from the past, and it was never meant to be found so soon. Over 900 years ago, deep in the Cambodian jungle, a king dreamed of building heaven on earth. His name was Suryavarman II, ruler of the Khmer Empire, and his vision wasn't just ambitious, it was cosmic. He wanted a temple so vast, so intricate, that no one could see it all at once. This was more than architecture. This was a stone map of the universe itself. From afar, Angkor Wat rises like lotus buds, reaching for the sky. Up close, every stone, every carving, every curve follows a pattern so precise that modern engineers still struggle to comprehend it. And they did it without steel, cranes, or computers. Angkor Wat wasn't just a place of prayer, it was a mirror of the heavens. Its 5 towers echo the peaks of Mount Meru, the mythical center of the universe, while its layered gardens represent the human world, the spirit world, and the realm of the gods. Every step upward was a step closer to paradise. Surrounding the temple, 4 enormous moats shimmered like liquid mirrors. They weren't just beautiful. They symbolized the cosmic sea separating humans from the divine, while cleverly cooling the temple, soaking up floods, and stabilizing the massive structure. Inside, sandstone walls told stories of gods, goddesses, and kings, both devotion and propaganda, showing the king as the living bridge between earth and heaven. Even the stones themselves were miracles. Quarried from 50 kilometers away, each block was shaped so perfectly that you couldn't fit a piece of paper between them. No cement, no glue, just precise math and the hands of master craftsmen. Yet perfection hides secrets. Beneath the beauty, subtle anomalies hinted at something deeper, something not meant to be seen. Floors that sounded hollow, lamps that dimmed with no wind. Locals whispered that this temple, built to reach the heavens, was also guarding something from hell. And soon, someone would dare to uncover it. The jungle's whisper. For centuries, the villagers who lived near Angkor Wat didn't see it as a tourist attraction or a marvel of architecture. They saw it as alive. The temple seemed to breathe with the wind that danced across its moats. Thunder rolling across its towers sounded like the awakening of ancient gods. Even the ground beneath the rice fields seemed to hum with hidden energy. Yet no one dared investigate. This wasn't superstition. It was wisdom passed down through generations. Some things are meant to remain undisturbed. The locals spoke in hushed tones about restless patches of land where even birds refused to land. Monks warned against wandering near certain walls at night, saying the air grew heavy there, as if something waited below. The advice was consistent, repeated, and solemn. Do not wake what sleeps beneath the stones. Then, in 1860, a stranger entered the jungle, Henri Mouhot, a French naturalist. He wasn't chasing treasure or fame, only plants, insects, and artifacts for European museums. But the jungle had other plans. Mouhot's expedition was grueling. The air clung to him like steam, leeches crawled up his legs, and the saturated ground threatened to swallow his boots. The forest grew impossibly thick, walls of green that seemed endless. And then, cutting through the vines, he saw it. Spires and straight lines, impossible geometry rising from the chaos of the jungle. A city of stone stood before him. Cracked faces of gods gazed down from towering walls. Snakes coiled along shadowed stairways. Mouhot later wrote that the sight surpassed any cathedral in Europe. At first, wonder filled him, but unease followed. He noticed tunnels that ended abruptly at smooth, unplanned walls, hallways blocked with solid mortar, as if intentionally sealed from the inside. Rooms that seemed to lead nowhere, ending in silence. His drawings captured his confusion. How could a structure so vast deliberately hide parts of itself? When Mouhot's notes and sketches reached Paris, the world was stunned. Scholars and explorers couldn't believe Asia had a civilization capable of building something of this scale. Newspapers called it the Lost Cathedral of the East. Expeditions followed. Maps were drawn, buildings restored. Angkor Wat became a center of fascination in Europe. But not all of Mouhot's records survived or were shared. Some sketches showing strange depressions near the Western Gate vanished. Officials claimed misplacement, but some whispered of quiet censorship, of warnings ignored. Meanwhile, locals remained wary. Workers who touched certain walls fell ill inexplicably. Lanterns went out in rooms without wind. Chisels resisted stone as if the temple itself refused entry. Guardian carvings, the Nagas, were placed near these sealed areas, their eyes fixed firmly on the ground, their message unmistakable. These were not doors, but locks, keeping something contained. Foreigners continued to dig, map, and restore, oblivious to the secret beneath their feet. The world marveled at the beauty above ground. But the real story, the part carefully hidden, guarded for millennia, remained buried. Generations of Cambodians had been warned. The ground beneath Angkor was hollow, the air heavy, and the gods restless. Superstition had preserved the secret for centuries. But science, armed with modern tools and laser scans, could no longer ignore it. What lay beneath the jungle floor was no longer rumor, it was fact. And what they discovered would challenge everything we thought we knew about Angkor, about its builders, and about the purpose of this cosmic temple. The jungle had whispered for hundreds of years, and finally, someone was listening. The city beneath the jungle. For centuries, Angkor Wat was known as the jewel of the Cambodian jungle, a masterpiece photographed, restored, and visited by millions. Yet no one truly understood its scale. From the ground, the temple seemed isolated, a single jewel rising from a sea of green. The surrounding jungle, thick and relentless, and centuries of accumulated soil hid everything else. Storms, floods, and time had buried roads, canals, and settlements so thoroughly that all that remained visible were the temple's iconic towers. To the naked eye, Angkor Wat appeared to float alone, a lone monument in the wilderness. But appearances were deceiving. Everything changed with a revolution in technology. In the early 2000s, scientists abandoned the spade for the sky. LIDAR, light detection and ranging, was deployed on planes soaring over the jungle. This technology fires millions of laser pulses per second toward the Earth. Each pulse bounces off leaves, branches, and the forest floor, returning data to powerful sensors. Then computers remove the layers of jungle, revealing what lies beneath. In essence, the trees became invisible, and the secrets beneath them suddenly appeared in full clarity. The first images were staggering. Roads emerged where only trees had been. Grids, perfectly aligned canals, and neighborhoods appeared out of the chaos. The ground beneath the jungle was anything but random. It was a sprawling, meticulously planned city, larger than any explorer could hope to traverse on foot. Angkor Wat was no longer just the world's largest temple. It was the center of a megacity that spanned hundreds of square kilometers, rivaling the great capitals of the ancient world. Every pulse of laser data challenged centuries of assumptions about the Khmer Empire. Water played a central role in this hidden city. Canals wove throughout the landscape, distributing water to rice fields. Reservoirs stored monsoon rains like batteries, and carefully designed waterways cooled the city during scorching heat. The Khmer engineers had created a hydraulic system so advanced that modern scholars still struggled to grasp its scale and sophistication. This was why Angkor earned the nickname the Hydraulic City, a civilization controlling the flow of water and, in essence, the weather itself, centuries before modern technology. But the real surprise was hidden in plain sight. Under the central sanctuary of Angkor Wat, the holiest part of the temple, LIDAR detected strange, perfectly straight geometric shapes. These didn't match anything above ground. The foundations of the temple aligned with what appeared to be massive voids or depressions. Initially, some researchers suggested they were foundation deposits, ritual holes used to bless new constructions. But those deposits were tiny, just a few feet deep. What LIDAR revealed were massive, precise geometric spaces carved into the very heart of the sacred temple. Others argued it might be natural formations, a quirk of the soil or subsidence, yet the symmetry was too exact to be random. These weren't accidental holes. They looked deliberate, planned, and ancient. The data caused a split in the scientific community. Some urged caution, insisting more evidence was needed, while others argued that ignoring such clear patterns would be a mistake. What the lasers revealed was profound. If the findings were true, it suggested that Angkor Wat was designed not only to reach toward the heavens, but also to extend underground. Above, the towers soared toward Vishnu's paradise. Below, the hidden chambers, corridors, or voids remained untouched, locked away as if guarding a secret centuries old. The temple was a monument of duality, both a beacon to the sky and a vault beneath the earth, perfectly aligned in design and purpose. The implications were staggering. For generations, rumors whispered that Angkor Wat hid chambers and tunnels, stories dismissed as folklore. Now, LIDAR had turned rumor into data. Beneath the visible grandeur lay a secret world, engineered with the same precision and care as the temples themselves. A civilization capable of such architectural genius clearly had knowledge of geometry, hydraulics, and planning far beyond what had been credited to them. Angkor Wat had always been extraordinary, but the revelation that it was the center of an entire lost city with possible hidden chambers beneath its most sacred spaces changed everything. The temple was no longer just a monument to devotion or power. It was a sophisticated blueprint of a civilization that mastered both the seen and the unseen, the surface and the subterranean. The sky and the earth had been joined in stone, water, and void, and only now were we beginning to understand the full scope of that vision. Every tower, every wall, every canal in the LIDAR images spoke of genius and intention. And beneath the quiet jungle floor, something else waited, an enigma built to endure, protected by time, the earth, and perhaps even the whispers of the jungle itself. The breath of the mountain. By 2020, curiosity had become something much deeper. Obsession. Centuries of stories, generations of whispers, and now the stunning LIDAR data all pointed to the same conclusion. Beneath Angkor Wat, something extraordinary was hidden. Not just a lost chamber or a forgotten tunnel, but a vast, deliberate structure that no pilgrim, explorer, or monk had ever fully seen. To uncover it, scientists had to do what no one had dared before. They had to look straight through solid stone. A team of archaeologists, engineers, and digital imaging experts from around the world gathered at the temple. Their tools were modern marvels, ground-penetrating radar and micro-seismic sensors capable of reading the heartbeat of the Earth itself. Their focus was precise. The Western Causeway, the path every pilgrim walked, and the central sanctuary, the holiest space built for the gods. It was as if they were listening to the temple breathe. Each pulse from the radar dove into the ground, bouncing back layers of data. The sensors turned centuries of silence into color, into sound, into information. At first glance, the results seemed ordinary. Thick foundations, carefully packed sand, the marks of ancient craftsmanship. But then anomalies began to appear. Instead of solid rock, the instruments detected long horizontal voids beneath the sanctuaries. Even stranger, these gaps were lined with stone, far thicker than anything visible above ground. The team realized that the builders had poured their greatest effort not into what the world could see, but into what they had deliberately hidden. Every corridor, every wall seemed designed to resist discovery, to protect whatever lay beneath. Speculation ran wild. Secret tombs, hidden ritual chambers. The more data they collected, the deeper the mystery grew. The voids weren't simple spaces. They formed a network of corridors, branching like veins, all converging under the temple's central tower. Then, as if the temple itself was testing them, a small section of the Western Causeway collapsed mid-scan. The instruments faltered, connections shorted. Some devices refused to work. The team could feel the tension in the air, almost as if the ground itself was warning them to stop. When power finally returned to one scanner, the screen revealed something chilling. Faint carvings, patterns familiar to anyone who had studied Angkor's hidden symbolism. Naga serpents, twisted around human figures, etched into the stone beneath their feet. Local workers recoiled. Some refused to continue, whispering that these were warnings, symbols that indicated disturbing what had lain undisturbed for centuries could bring punishment. But the scientists pressed on. Journalists hovered at the edges. Financiers demanded results, and the world was watching. Pulse after pulse, scan after scan, they delved deeper. Then the breakthrough came. From the central platform, the sensors revealed a single, unmistakable corridor, etched sharply against the rock. It wasn't a natural crack or a flaw. It was a deliberate passageway, hidden for 9 centuries. The excavation began at first light. Roots, debris, and layers of soil made progress slow and dangerous, each move revealing how thoroughly the chamber had been sealed. Finally, after hours of painstaking work, the last layer of earth gave way. A small stone opening appeared, a doorway into utter darkness. A rush of cold, heavy air escaped, carrying with it a silence so complete it seemed to swallow the sounds of the jungle around them. For the first time in 900 years, the mountain of the gods exhaled. It was a breath that had waited centuries to be released, a whisper from the builders of Angkor themselves. And as the team peered into that darkness, the magnitude of what lay ahead became clear. Whatever had slept undisturbed for almost a millennium was about to step into human history. This wasn't just archaeology. This was discovery on the scale of legend. Every stone, every corridor, every breath of air hinted at a secret so profound that it could change the way we understand Angkor Wat, the Khmer Empire, and perhaps the very purpose of the temple itself. What lay beyond that opening wasn't just hidden. It was sacred, deliberate, and protected by a genius civilization whose reach extended far beyond what anyone had ever imagined. As the team prepared to enter, the jungle fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. For 9 centuries, the temple had watched, waited, and protected its secret. And now, finally, it was ready to reveal the truth. Discovery of the chamber. The chamber's entrance was barely large enough for one person to squeeze through. Every stone that blocked the tunnel had to be removed carefully, one at a time, as if the mountain itself was resisting, unwilling to give up its secret. The air inside was heavy, thick, and nearly suffocating, carrying centuries of stillness. Sensors revealed what no eye could. The oxygen level was lower than outside, evidence that the space had been sealed off for almost 1,000 years since the 11th century, and had not been opened since. When the final stone slab shifted, a slow, hissing exhalation escaped, like the mountain itself issuing a last warning breath. The team was hit immediately by the stench, wet, metallic, and rank, a smell that clawed at the senses. Dust swirled in the light beams, almost alive, sticking to skin and clothes. The walls were blackened and blistered, coated with soot from some ancient fire or ritual. The air was oppressive, the heat intense, and the silence so absolute it pressed on their minds and hearts. Every step, every breath felt loaded with the weight of history. As their light swept across the walls, shapes emerged, grotesque carvings of Nagas, the serpentine guardians. But these were not the protective, benign figures they had seen elsewhere. Here, the Nagas were depicted sinking fangs deep into human arms and throats, guarding what had once been holy water. The message was unmistakable. This was no place for the living. This was a warning, one that had been left untouched for centuries. At the far end of the chamber, a massive stone door loomed. There were no hinges, no handles. Hardened mortar sealed it in place, faint sigils etched across its surface, symbols that seemed to pulse in the flickering light. Hours passed as the team chiseled and drilled, every strike echoing in the suffocating silence. Finally, the slab cracked, yielding to centuries of weight. A shaft of light pierced the darkness, illuminating what lay beyond. And there, the team froze. Bones, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, were arranged around a single altar. Skulls and rib cages formed concentric rings on the floor. Copper wire-bound wrists, heads were broken, spines split open. This was not burial, it was massacre. Ritual sacrifice had occurred here, time and time again, leaving the chamber soaked in centuries of blood. Nearby, small metal pots contained dark, dried residue. Lab tests later revealed blood, human and animal, mixed together. Faded inscriptions in Sanskrit and Khmer whispered a chilling message. The blood below feeds the gods. Break this chamber, and their hunger returns. The weight of those words, combined with the visceral evidence in front of them, stunned the team into silence. Some researchers wept. Others refused to remain in the chamber, unable to face the horror. The truth hit with a force no one could have anticipated. Angkor Wat, long celebrated as heaven in stone, was built atop graves, atop rituals of blood and death. The temple's beauty, its genius, and its divine symbolism were inseparable from the shadowy secrets buried beneath its foundations. For centuries, myths and warnings had kept the living away. Now, science and curiosity had revealed what time had hidden. History had bled into mystery, and the mountain finally yielded its truth. A place of worship and devotion above, but a place of sacrifice and darkness below. Angkor Wat was no longer simply a monument to devotion. It was a reminder of the duality of human endeavor. Genius and horror, creation and destruction, faith and fear. Every stone, every corridor, every shadow in the chamber told a story, one that had been waiting nearly a millennium to be discovered. And as the team stood in the quiet aftermath, the jungle seemed to hold its breath. The story of Angkor Wat had changed forever. What had once been heaven in stone was now inseparably entwined with the blood-soaked history hidden beneath its towers. If this discovery shocks you, remember, the mountain still holds more secrets, and the next revelation is closer than you think.